I sleep in the room by myself. I don't think nothing of it. Next day, same thing. I said, damn, babe, you sleeping in there again? She like, yeah, I'm just staying with such and such, right? I said, all right, cool. Anybody in Bedford Hills, can you please step to the front? So now I'm like, damn, this shit weird. The hell? You feel me? So at this time, I try to be intimate. I'm keeping it 100 with you. I try to be intimate with her. And she came in the bed with me. She hugged and kissed me, the whole thing. And at this time, I'm trying to be intimate with her. When it's time to go down, she slipped out of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, okay. After she do that, she go back to sleep in the room with homegirl this particular night. I said, something is fishy here. I said, I ain't no rocket scientist, but this ain't add up. You feel me? So, I said, damn, something wrong.
There's one thing Remy Ma's going to do. It's being out here exposing stuff about her ops. She tried spilling tea on Papoose, who's calling him a dusty who mooched off of her, and then bounced when he found another fool to replace her. But the more Remy talked, the more her skeletons came tumbling out because, get this, she had a lesbian lover who is now out here spilling the real tea about their relationship. Word on the street is that they were together from the jump of Ray's marriage to Papoose and would have kept it low-key if Pap hadn't walked in on them one day and caught them red-handed. And of course, Claressa Shields had to come in feeling real vindicated in her beef with Remy Ma after the—
I don't have any ill will toward any women. And I don't have any ill will toward her. You know what
So
I'm
y'all
saying?
haven't spoke nah.
Nah, I mean, she made her post and whatever, and that was about it. But like I said, women are women. They're very emotional creatures. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was just, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was emotions or I don't know what it was because I don't know her and she don't know me.
This bombshell dropped. Child, this Remy Ma and Papoose saga just went left real quick. One minute they were selling black love goals. The next minute they were acting like they hadn't been together for years with kids in the mix. This latest drama kicked off after Claressa hit the Breakfast Club and spoke on her situation with Pat, and she made her post and whatever. And that was about it. But like I said, women are women.
My ex might be the least income making person that I've ever been with. Ever. Everybody included.
You just don't. You're a piece of shit, Papoose. You really are. You have turned into a piece of shit. This shit right here, the gambling, the failures that you've had in your career or whatever that didn't pan out how you wanted to, has turned—
Very emotional creatures. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was just I don't know. I don't know what it was. Cause I don't know if it was emotions or I don't know what it was cause I don't know her and she don't know me. Yeah, she don't know me either. You know what I'm saying? So once that interview hit the net, Remy came for Papoose and y'all she had—
That was my friend, I would be like, girl, you just turned 30 years old. You are a world champion. You are accomplished. You have made it from out the ghetto, from the slums, from the depths of Flint, Michigan. You don't got no kids. You have your whole life ahead of you. Why are you attaching yourself to this 47-year-old man that doesn't have anything going, has no career, no job, no income, except for the income that he's claiming off of you, your percentage, because he's your manager? Got you out here talking, looking crazy. He's the one that don't want to sign, don't want to get his stuff out his ex house. Doesn't be there for his child that he begged for, but telling you he wants another one. Let me guess. He's telling you, and of course I gotta be the villain. She ain't shit. She this, I'm this. Show me a woman that had a man that was doing her right and she just shitted on him for no reason. This is facts. What are we talking about? I literally told my friends, they was like, yo, you think he ever gonna leave? I was like, when he finds a replacement, when he finds someone who we think he can have doing all the shit that I was doing.
Had a lot to say. Actually, my ex might be the called him a dusty who never paid a bill. and his string of career flops turned him bitter. And she claimed that she's not scared of Claressa. Instead, she's sorry. A world-class boxer who clawed her way out of the slums and made a name for herself has tied herself to a 47-year-old man with no career, kids, multiple baby mamas, and nothing to his name.
On another day, I caught her with this individual in our house while my daughter was on the bed with them. Ended up catching it. Now, this individual is a female, so I can't do nothing to her. I don't put my hands on females. Y'all wanna know what I did? I told the individual, I said, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't put my hands on her because I'm not gonna do that. I don't hit women. But I told her to get out. I said, get the fuck out.
Except for what he got from Remy. While they playing on my phone, if that was my friend, I would be like, girl, you just turned 30 years old. You are a world champion. You are accomplished. You have made it from out the ghetto, from the slums, from the depths of Flint, Michigan. You don't got no kids. You have your whole life ahead of you. Why are you attaching yourself to this 47-year-old man that doesn't have anything going, has no career, no job, no course? I got to be the villain. She just showed me a woman that had a man that was doing her right, and she just on him for no reason. And this is facts. What are we talking about? I literally told my friends, they was like, yo, you think he ever going to leave? I was like, when he finds a replacement, when he finds someone who he think he can have doing all the understanders that I was doing, then he'll leave. Remy knows how to get under Papoos's skin. After her video dropped, he went on IG Live and ranted for about an hour. When have you ever heard Pap talk that long? He dropped bombshells about Remy, including her relationship with one of her female friends. He said, Remy and her, I can't do nothing to her. I don't put my hands on females. Y'all want to know what I did? I told the individual, I said, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm going to be honest. I didn't put my hands on her because I'm not going to do that. I don't hit women. But I told her to get out. I said get the out because I felt very disrespected that took place in my house. Now that's just wrong. But they tried to work through it at least until Ray's flame with Easy went public. Even then, Papoose stayed quiet while Remy had plenty to say once Claressa and Pap started showing up together. And this ain't the first rumor of Remy being 90% of the rhymes that came out of her mouth since I met her. Y'all said it. Y'all said it numerous times. Tension had been building for weeks, and everyone involved could feel it. What started as private disagreements behind closed doors was now spilling into the public, and every new revelation only added fuel to an already out-of-control situation. What made it worse was the fact that people on the outside, fans, bloggers, and online commentators, were piecing together bits of information and jumping to conclusions long before anyone had the full story. The narrative had taken on a life of its own, and suddenly everyone thought they knew exactly who was responsible for what. Behind the scenes, one accusation kept resurfacing over and over again: the claim that Pep had been writing someone else's material. People talked as if it were an established fact, repeating it like gospel. But the truth was far from what the public had convinced itself of. Did I ever say that? The speaker insisted. Did I ever agree with y'all? Did I ever put that out there? I never once said I wrote her rounds. Yet that didn't stop the rumors from spreading like wildfire. It didn't matter whether the claims were substantiated. Once the public decided on a narrative, it became nearly impossible to slow it down, let alone reverse it. The person at the center of the storm found themselves defending statements they never made and clarifying accusations they never co-signed. What hurt even more was how quickly people were willing to label them a bad spouse. The criticism rolled in relentlessly, and although they tried to ignore it, the sting of being mischaracterized cut deep. What made it worse was that they still had all the text messages, every conversation, every apology, every moment of vulnerability that had been shared in private. Messages filled with regret, confusion, and emotional exhaustion. One message in particular played over and over in their mind: I know I'm a bad wife. I'm so sorry. Those words weren't said out of spite or manipulation. They were said out of pain, real genuine pain. And anyone who had read the entire message thread would have seen that. But the internet never sees the whole thread. The internet only sees the pieces that get screenshotted, cropped, taken out of context, and reposted by people more interested in engagement than truth. The person speaking couldn't understand why things had escalated to this point. Why someone they had stood by, defended, and sacrificed for was now painting them as the villain. None of it made sense, at least not until they paused and thought about everything that had been happening behind closed doors. That's when a realization hit them. Maybe she wasn't acting on her own. Maybe someone else was pulling strings or holding something over her head. There was one recording in particular that changed everything. It captured Delane, someone who had inserted himself into the situation, openly admitting that he had leverage. He hinted that he had information he could use, pressure he could apply, and ways he could manipulate her emotionally. He didn't say it with remorse or guilt. He said it with confidence, almost as if he knew he had the upper hand. When the speaker replayed those recordings, it became painfully clear how much influence Delane had gained. He made subtle threats, emotional suggestions, and implied consequences. Anyone who listened carefully could hear the undertones. He was using whatever he had to keep her loyalty, even if it meant turning her against the very people who had supported her the most. That, more than anything, explained the sudden shift in behavior. She wasn't acting like herself. She wasn't speaking like herself. She wasn't reacting the way she normally did. Instead, she was lashing out, misplacing blame, and expressing anger toward people who had been in her corner from the beginning. According to the speaker, one of the main reasons she was furious was because she claimed that everything, every moment of tension, every conflict, every public blow-up, was somehow their fault. The explanation she gave was almost unbelievable. She said that the entire situation snowballed because the speaker had knocked Delane out. That was the moment she claimed everything changed. The moment she said everything fell apart. The moment she insisted everything was his fault. But that reasoning didn't make sense, not to the speaker, and certainly not to anyone who actually understood the dynamics at play. If anything, that incident had been a reaction, not the cause. People were rewriting the timeline in reverse, acting as if the final explosion was the spark that started it all. On top of all of this, online voices had started chiming in, people who weren't even involved but felt obligated to comment. One clip circulating on social media featured someone telling Remy to drop the attitude if she wants to be invited to the cookouts. It was meant to be humorous, but in a situation already so sensitive and emotionally charged, it only stirred things up even more. Some people took the comment as lighthearted banter. Others interpreted it as an instigation. Then there were those who used it as an opportunity to attack character, integrity, or reputation. What was once a personal conflict had now turned into a public spectacle, with spectators cheering from the sidelines as if it were entertainment. And then there was Claressa, someone who had kept her distance for the most part but had a tendency to comment at the worst possible times. Instead of de-escalating, she added pressure. Instead of calming the situation, she ignited new sparks. The speaker couldn't help but warn, partly out of concern and partly out of frustration, that Claressa needed to be careful. Because if she kept inserting herself between Remy and Papoose, two people known for their loyalty, intensity, and unwillingness to tolerate disrespect, she would inevitably get caught in the crossfire. It wasn't a threat. It was a fact. People who knew the couple understood how fiercely they protected each other. Anyone stepping into that tension without understanding the full story was putting themselves in harm's way. At the end of the day, this entire situation was a tangled mess of miscommunication, manipulation, emotional pressure, and outside influence. It wasn't just about one fight, one text message, one rumor, or one recording. It was a buildup of unresolved tension, unspoken expectations, and hidden agendas. If people truly wanted to understand what was happening, they needed to hear the full story. Not the cropped screenshots, not the out-of-context tweets, not the speculative commentary, but the entire timeline. They needed to understand how someone's emotional vulnerability can be weaponized. They needed to see how private struggles can be pushed into public view by people who benefit from the chaos. They needed to recognize how easily the truth becomes distorted when outsiders start narrating someone else's story.